What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm Mark Izzo. This is Dylan O'Brien, and we are your hosts. And on this episode, we will kind of be going over everything that has been going down with the Bloodline over this past month or two, because we've been having a lot of things happen recently, and we kind of realized we haven't really been talking about any of it because we just did some prediction stuff, and then we obviously had the WrestleMania early match card predictions. So we figured what better time now to go over everything that's happened, because now we're kind of on the road to War Games. I think there's a clear path to Bloodline versus Bloodline at War Games, which realistically is only in like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
It's November 30th, so we really do not have long at all to go for that. So we're going to kind of give our thoughts about how everything has been playing out, because obviously this Bloodline is always kind of the top story in all of professional wrestling whenever they kind of get going, as we have seen in the past. So let's get into this, Dylan. So I think the very first thing we should probably talk about is the Jimmy Uso return. So we're going to kind of start there, then make our way up to what is eventually going to be the Survivor Series War Games match. So why don't you go talk us through, Dylan, what you thought about the Jimmy return when it happened?
Yeah. So, of course, I thought it was great. I think everybody was hyped to see Jimmy. He had the shirts, they not the ones. And of course, it was good to see him and Roman back together, and it was like that first kind of piece back into the puzzle of Roman forming this new his former OG bloodline back together. And then we saw a little bit of character growth in Roman on SmackDown when he acknowledged Big Jim. He did that, welcoming Jimmy back into the bloodline, right? So now we have this reconciled back together gruesome twosome of Jimmy and the OTC Roman Reigns. So now we're in this situation to where the numbers are still not on their side, Mark.
That's right.
And this is when it seemed like they first started planting the seeds for Jey Uso to make his way back into the bloodline. Of course, Jey Uso still holding the Intercontinental Championship that he recently won at the time. And we had some moments backstage, him and Roman giving a, you know what I mean? Him and Roman had a part. I'm proud of you. We're all proud of you. You know what I mean? Winning the IC title. Jay doesn't really want to give him the time of day. Then we get into some segments. Jimmy, you know what I mean? Jay goes into his locker room or whatever, and Jimmy's in there waiting for him, trying to talk to him. And Jay doesn't really want to give him the time of day at this moment. You know, so that's kind of where we stand leading into a Friday Night SmackDown where Jey Uso comes out and confronts his younger brother, Solo Sikoa, in this new bloodline. And that's really where, of course, they planted the seeds, but now this is the point where we go, okay, Jay's back in. So, of course, we have that segment where it kind of seems like Jay is kind of trying to convince his younger brother, don't be doing this. You don't got to do all this, man. You've seen what happened with Roman before, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then Solo says, Jay, you just have to acknowledge me. And of course, that kind of plants the seeds for now Jay kind of kindling that rivalry with his younger brother in this new bloodline. So, Mark, kind of want to take me through your thoughts of where we're at in this current moment?
Yeah, so kind of leading up to that, And again, I don't know how you felt or how the people felt, but to me, uh, the I thought they did a good job at kind of like playing it slow, to kind of being like, all right, obviously Jay's not going to want to immediately get back with Roman after everything Roman's put him through, and then we've kind of even with like when we saw Cody team with Roman, like everyone's kind of now hesitant to work with Roman, and now we're getting a lot of, like you said, from a few episodes ago, but Roman's growing as a person now, and so that's very important for his character development and is ultimately his character arc, and so obviously that makes sense, to have Jay hesitant to reunite and be with Roman because this Jay is a lot different than the Jay from when Roman was.
And at this point in time, we even have
him, and so
at this point in time, we still have Jay very hesitant to hash things over with Jimmy as well. So at this point in time, Jay is really still kind of standing his ground and being on his own. And then I think the big turning point, obviously, would be Jay's rematch defending the IC title against the man he took it from in Braun Breaker. Jay only held the title for what, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? I doubt it was 6 weeks.
I believe, I want to say, because I actually looked, I think it was like 50 days.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it was like a month, maybe a month and a half.
Yeah, so probably like 6 weeks. So then we get the rematch, and the seeds have been planted, and at this point in time, it kind of feels like everybody has an idea of what's about to happen, but they're just sad that it's about to happen, and of course, it does. And then the new bloodline, the new bloodline comes out and costs Jey Uso his Intercontinental Championship. So this is where we're currently at. After a Monday Night Raw, we have Jey Uso has essentially been brought back into this storyline, with this new bloodline costing him his Intercontinental Championship. So then that brings us to Friday Night SmackDown, right? Where we have a great SmackDown lineup on our hands. And going into it, I got to tell you, especially that last hour of SmackDown, after looking, probably the best hour of TV, WWE TV we've had in a while. That like last 60 minutes of that SmackDown, I don't know how you feel, but I mean, I was hooked, dude. Like, I was not turning away the entire time. Like, that last hour was crazy. Starting with Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY in the finals of a number one contenders tournament. This is Motor City Machine Guns' second week on WWE television, and it's their second match on WWE TV. Second match in WWE at all. And they are going against DIY, which I predicted for my WrestleMania match, sort of a dream match, like I said. And I'm glad they let these boys cook a little bit. Not to get off topic, but gotta mention this because it was a significant part of the story, honestly, this Motor City Machine Gun thing coming in. So we have a really solid match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. In my opinion, a sneak peek of just a small sneak peek of what they could potentially do in a really big stage. And we'll get into this.
These guys are not done.
Yeah, and I'll get into it at a different time, but they did kind of plant the seeds for a potential DIY breakup, and I don't love it. But we'll see. We'll talk about that down the line at a different time. So Motor City Machine Guns come out on top, and they're your number one contenders for the Bloodlines Tag Team Championships. And then we have, immediately after this victory, Solo Sikoa and his Bloodline come out to talk to the Motor City Machine Guns. And this is one of those big moments for Solo Sikoa where I think everyone realized, damn, yeah, Solo Sikoa has really come into his own personality-wise and in this new Tribal Chief role, in this gimmick, and he really did well in this promo against the Motor City Machine Guns. So, of course, Motor City Machine Guns, first of all, let me say, it's just like crazy. I mean, not that I'm shocked by any means or whatever. They've been doing this for so long. They've been one of the best tag teams on the planet for 20 years. And it's just like really so crazy how like a team can go from like not being on WWE TV at all, and they come in and they look like they've been there the whole time. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh yeah. Shit, like where it's like it feels like, yeah, it's like where, yeah. Anyway, I don't even know where to talk about it. Like they're just so good. So, we have a nice Solo Sikoa moment where I believe it was Chris. I think it was Chris Sabin who said, we're the number one contenders for your tag team championships, and we'll take them anytime, anywhere. And then we got Solo Sikoa when they anytime, anywhere. Oh, that's funny. And that was a great moment for me. I really, really enjoyed that. And then we have Solo Sikoa say, how about we do it right here, right now, on Friday Night SmackDown? Let's do it. And then Nick Aldis, of course, the GM of Friday Night SmackDown, best GM in wrestling right now, best authority figure in wrestling, in my opinion. Nick Aldis says, These men have waited 20 years, for this opportunity, and I'll be damned if they're going to get it when they're less than 100%. You know what I mean? They've earned this. And, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, they say, Nick, with all due respect, you know us better than anybody. We want this match right here, right now. We're good to go. Like, let's do it. And then the match is made official, Mark, and the bell rings. Tag team championships are on the line. Oh, yeah. Motor City Machine Guns against the Tongans. Motor City Machine Guns, third ever WWE match. They're wrestling a second match. They just wrestled. Second time on WWE television. And of course we have a very solid match. Very exciting. This whole thing was very, didn't see this one coming really. Once the Bloodline came out, I was like, dude, are they about to do this shit right now? And then they did. And then I'm like, dude, Motor City Machine Guns are winning. Like, there's no way they're about to lose. Like, oh, God. And those are the moments that just make you realize how much you love wrestling. Just, so exciting. You know what I mean? Just these moments that just bring out the energy. So, we have a really solid match between Motor City Machine Guns and the Tongans. It doesn't go too long before we get into some shenanigans. And we have Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso kind of come to the aid of the Motor City Machine Guns because of Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa kind of getting involved here. And then we have them get chased off a little bit, and then they get fought backstage.
Classic.
All right. And then who comes out of the crowd? None other than the Yeet Master. It's Jey Uso in a hoodie. Yeet. And he and Jey Uso, I will never not, anytime someone's in a hoodie now.
Still one of my favorite calls.
Dude, anytime somebody's in a hoodie now, dude, Joe T will never get away from that for me. And I'm not even such a great moment. I understand it was a mistake. I'm so happy it happened. It's so funny. And anytime somebody comes in a hoodie, I'll never be able to not think, in a hoodie! As if that was the big reveal.
Does he say that? Does he say that still?
I don't think so. I think it was just the first night.
He's got to make it his thing. He's got to make it his thing now.
It was just literally his first night when Drew came. He was like, "It's Drew McIntyre in a hoodie!" Like, as if the hoodie was the crazy part.
That was so fucking funny. That was the best.
But yeah, of course we have Jey Uso come to the aid of the Motor City Machine Guns, getting back on this new bloodline that cost him his Intercontinental Championship. And we have new tag team champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, in their third ever WWE match and second week on WWE TV. They're your WWE tag team champions, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this just to quickly, I'll briefly touch on the Motor City Machine Guns because I've seen some of them before they came to WWE. Like, obviously, I knew they were kind of one of the best, if not the best tag team that's not in WWE. But I didn't watch a ton of them. But I'll tell you what, after watching those matches, like you said, you talk about guys that just seamlessly fit into WWE. Like, it is them. The way that they're able to, like, work the crowd and their ability to work so well together. Like, they are such a true tag team. And the thing with, like, the thing that first jumped out to me when I watched them was, like, how much they work the crowd. Like, they're so good with all of their facial reactions. They get knocked down, and they're kind of sitting there getting fired up and, like, getting the crowd into it. Like, they're built for WWE. I don't know. It's unfortunate that it took them this long.
Better late than never, though,
their
right?
fault, but yeah, they're going to have a hell of a run here for the next 5 or however many years. So yeah, we got new tag champs. It was it was interesting because those the tag titles I predicted that, which they still may get back on the Bloodline for Mania, which if you want to watch our WrestleMania 41 early match card predictions, you can go check out our last 2 episodes. We did it for night 1 and night 2, but I didn't know if I had them holding them till then, but it was also, I felt like the tag titles were in a weird spot because of them being on Solo's Bloodline, so I wasn't sure kind of quite what they were going to do with them, but once I saw that they caused Jay the IC title, is kind of like, all right, well now Jay's going to get his revenge on that. So I think right now, regardless of how you feel about the IC title run or the tag title run, we should just be happy they're kind of off the Bloodline and we kind of get to do some other stuff with those now. But yeah, I mean, the moments like this where it's like, especially being in the crowd for various different wrestling shows and then having different situations happen with them kind of like toying with the crowd about getting, you know, maybe a world title match later, or they say, let's do this match right here, right now. And then they go, no, we're not doing it tonight. We're going to do it next week. Like, so many times that happens to where you're kind of like, all right, obviously it's not going to happen. But, like, to get an unexpected title match and then to get an unexpected title change, like, that's what makes wrestling truly great and truly one of, like, the most fun and energizing things. Like, you truly never know what's going to happen. Like, those fans in attendance did not know they were about to witness a big milestone in the Bloodline story and a massive title change as well. So, I mean, yeah, again, great episode of SmackDown here, Dylan. So let's talk about this. Let's go back to the JIC title, because I want to talk about this for a little bit. What were your thoughts about his run as a whole?
So listen, it's sad that it was short and like everything, but like honestly, if you think about recent memory, has there been a more successful transitional championship reign than what Jey Uso just had? Definitely not. Like, I can't remember the last time WWE has regardless of what you think, like they did it successfully. Like, they made Jey Uso champion for 6 weeks, and they did it successfully, and it worked out. Like, so,
Do you
like,
think it elevated Jay?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. And it's like, I understand the situation of the short title reign and all that stuff. I just think, like, I understand how that is upsetting and annoying and certain things like that, but I think, like, if you first told me that he was only going to hold it for however long and asked me, do you think it'll elevate him, I probably would have said no. But I think it's just, he just did so well with it. Like, honestly, like, he really owned being a champion, and he was just very, very over, and it worked. And still is incredibly over, obviously. But yeah, I do. As sad as I was to see it, like, short, and I'm not saying that it couldn't have been done any better, because there's always things that, you know what I mean, that they could have improved and probably could have made it a little more meaningful. Maybe even just putting the title on him earlier. You know what I mean? Maybe just, like, not having Braun Breaker win it at all until he beats Jay for it. I don't know. Like, but I think that's where they could have probably made it better, was giving him the title earlier. But he obviously needed to lose the title when he did. So, and I do think it elevated him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it did, because I think that this was kind of that win to this, like, solidified him.
Yeah,
right. As,
yeah,
like,
I'm
a
with
single
you. Right.
Star. That's kind of the thing it did. As much as I hate short title runs, especially back to back, like, even Braun Breaker had a less than 70-day. Like, I think they held the title for, like, maybe 4 months or something. Like, so even, like, getting back to back, like, super short title reigns is annoying. I think it served its purpose as to put it on Jay, solidify him as a single star, give him that big win, to show that he can do this. He can be a single star. He can be one of the biggest faces in your company. So yeah, it served its purpose. It also kind of feels like it was a bit of, hey, let's do this real quick before this starts. So obviously a longer run would have been better. I think they could have went about it better.
I think they just should have started it earlier. They really probably should have just not. I mean, I don't know how you would have gotten it from Sammy to Jay, but so that's a different story. But, like, they should have just put, like, I think that's the big thing, would have been putting it on Jay earlier. Maybe have, like, a Sammy, Braun Breaker, Jay triple threat match, and then, like, Jay pins Braun and wins the title that way, and then he holds it up until now, and then this is when Braun takes it from him. Who knows? But I think that probably would have been the best way to improve it, was having him start it earlier. Because it obviously needed to end when it did.
Yeah. So it's like, it was also weird because we just, like, didn't. The other thing was, like, obviously it was short, so you're not able to really get into, like, a lot of really good feuds and stuff. So I think this also, like, could have benefited from, I mean, like I said, and I think this is what I thought was going to happen once Jay won it. I thought Jacob Fatu was going to win it from him. And I still think that would have been a good way to go. But, and you would have gotten a nice, good, like, feud for the IC title, because that's kind of something similar with the IC title and the WWE tag titles, was we didn't really get, like, big feuds. It was kind of like, all right, you have a number one contender, then all right, you're on to the next number one contender. Like, you're just wrestling on, you're defending on Monday Night Raw, or you're defending on Friday Night SmackDown. So I think the IC title run was definitely better than the WWE tag title run, because even though we got a lot of great tag matches, and we obviously saw a lot of other teams kind of compete for the WWE Tag Team Championships, we just, like, didn't get big feuds with either title really. But so what do you think about the tag title run? I don't understand the point of them winning and then Jacob just handing it to Tonga and then them kind of just like it doesn't seem like they really did much. It kind of seems like they just put the title on them just to say like they are tag team champs, which is why like I'm happy that the tag titles are off them so we can kind of get this tag division rolling.
It does feel like
they
had
thoughts on the
feels like they didn't have a full plan when putting it on them. So like you said, it's probably just for the best that they're off them. All the titles are out of the Bloodline storyline for now, which is for the best. Titles can elevate other storylines. The Bloodline storyline at this point doesn't need any titles. And
no sir.
I think, I think like you said, I think they didn't have a full plan, but whatever, it worked out. And who knows? I mean, and it all led to It all led to that moment, like we said, and which was an incredible moment on SmackDown, and the Motor City Machine Guns becoming champions. So who knows? I guess it was probably for the best because that moment was awesome. But I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you got that right, Dylan.
So, at this point, we go to. This is now when we have. Is it Roman and Jimmy versus Solo and Jacob? Did we get that match? I feel like we did.
Think so? I think we did.
That's what I'm just trying to remember exactly how the moment happened with Jay reuniting with Jimmy. I believe that was in a match with Solo and Jacob versus Jimmy and Roman, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how. Maybe it didn't, but I can't remember. No, because we got, No, this is what it was. I'm sorry. When Jay got them to win the titles, he's standing in the ring after, and Jimmy comes out. Sorry, I'm like blanking on how that moment happened. I forgot that was on the same SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy comes out, and we get the little stare down between him and Jay. And then, of course, we get the Usos reunite to end SmackDown. Big old hug between the Usos and Roman, kind of just looking on from the ramp, right? And then the next couple weeks on TV is when we start to.
All right, wait. Let me ask you this real quick. About the reunite. Do you feel that the Usos reuniting was rushed at all?
I do think it happened a little quick, but also at the same time, they are twin brothers. Like, that's the one thing I like keep trying to remember. You know what I mean? That it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, at the end, it's like, if you think about it in real life, you're like, I don't know, like, Jimmy might have just been hitting Jay up every day for 3 weeks trying to reconcile that thing, and then we finally got on Smack. I don't know. Like, it definitely was a little bit rushed, but I think this is the only storyline in which you can rush it because of them being, like, twin brothers, and it's just, like, this is the only situation in where they're able to be like, all right, we're cool. We're not past everything. We're going to work past that over time, but we're good again because we're family. We're twins. Like,
yeah. I feel like they also rushed it a little bit because of Crown Jewel.
Yeah. Agreed.
Which sucks. But yeah. I don't, it definitely, it felt a little rushed. But again, I think it's kind of like, all right, we're cool for now. But like you said, this is still something that we're going to have to work on as the days go by and stuff. So I think like reuniting them, but not 100% like reuniting the whole family. It makes sense. So yeah, you can continue with what you were saying.
Well, and then we have a couple weeks later we get the segment with Roman, Jimmy, and Jay all in the ring together again. And this is the pre-recorded segment before Crown Jewel, right? So this is essentially we get Jay saying, you know, like, I'm main event Jey Uso now, man. Intercontinental Champion. I'm like, if we're doing this, this isn't gonna be like how it used to be. Jay says, you say one thing to me wrong. You even look at me the wrong way. I'm out. And I thought that was, I thought it was a good, like you said, everything did maybe feel a little bit rushed, but I thought in that situation it was good from Jay because I think he delivered on what he needed to do in that promo to kind of make up for it maybe being a little bit rushed with him saying the things like, you look at me the wrong way, I'm out. Like, this isn't, I'm not doing this for Roman. You know what I mean? Like, and that was apparent at Crown Jewel, you know what I mean? And I think they tried to make that very apparent with Jimmy and Roman came out separately. Not Jimmy and Roman. Jimmy and Roman came out together, and then Jay came out on his own. Jay came out last. Roman came out before Jay, and I thought that was pretty significant.
Yeah. It is.
And we have, of course, they're not matching, not correlating. Jay's in his blue and pink. The other bloodlines in the rest of the OG bloodline is in, they're black and red. So, and you know, and we got the tension. Jay doesn't really want to tag in Roman. So I think, although it was a bit rushed, like you said, I think they're doing what they have to do even though they're rushing it back together. I think it makes sense in the lines of like, all right, look, we're family. We'll work through this. But there's obviously still a lot of tension there that they have to figure out. And it became more
still
apparent.
Fragile.
Yeah, exactly. And it became more apparent that, you know, the numbers are still not on their side. And this new bloodline still has the numbers. You know, we got a little moment.
Oh, also, how good was that Roman Reigns yeet?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeet.
That was a great moment. And then, of course,
awesome.
We get the Usos and Roman throwing up the ones for the first time since the breakup, which was incredible. So, and of course, I missed this, but we got a couple segments with Sammy backstage talking to Jay. And Sammy is like, you're just going to forget everything? You know what I mean? Like, and how you going to do that? Like, I don't understand how you can just look past all this. And Jay says, Sammy, you want to understand, man. You're not family. You want to understand. And that's it. That hits him a little hard. So then we get at Crown Jewel, when the numbers game isn't on their side, we get none other than the honorary Uce, Sami Zayn.
Oh, well, also, can't forget we saw Sammy and Solo talking.
Oh, yes.
Well.
Yes, we have Sammy. We get a moment of Sammy and Solo talking where Jimmy was like, see, man, I told you can't trust him. We all we got. Like, it's just us, man. Like, and of course, I think that's just to, you know what I mean? That was kind of just to swerve us a little bit, you know, because, of course, we get the moment where, you know, Sammy comes to try and help the OG bloodline in the numbers situation, you know, and in that he accidentally kicks Roman Reigns when he's going for Solo Sikoa. And of course, we get some more great moments with Solo really letting the personality shine, where he was like, "Look what you did!" Like, I don't know, I just thought it was so funny. And then we go to the next night on Raw in Saudi Arabia this past week, and we get a beautiful moment between Sammy and Jay and Jimmy in the ring, where Sammy comes out speaking Arabic to the Arabic people. That was a very cool moment to happen on TV. And then we have he's joined by, you know, Jimmy and Jay, and he says, I was there to help Jay. That's all I was where I was there to help Jay, man. And whatever, Jimmy starts going in on him a little bit, and then we get a really nice moment where where Sammy goes, man, before all this, before you were my dog. You remember that, Jimmy? You remember that? You were my dog. Man, they were close, man. They were boys. Jimmy is the one who gave Sammy the name Honorary Uce. So, and then we have Jay, who's like, yeah, man, I asked him for his help. And we get that moment where, you know what I mean? Jimmy's saying Sammy's not family and all that. And Jay says, Sammy, I was wrong, man. You do understand you were out there because you are family. Everything we've been through, we're family, man. Sammy Uso. So then, of course, we get that moment, and that's where we kind of left off with where we are right now, right? So we have Sammy.
Yeah. So
we have Sammy's
kind of back in the picture, Dylan.
Yeah, Sammy's a little bit back in the picture, but not fully back in yet. We have a few more weeks that seems like that's where we're gonna build, and that's the direction we're going. So all signed.
Before we get into what we think's gonna happen at you can finish real quick.
No. What you said. No, do it.
All right. So before we kind of get into like war games and stuff, we have another segment for you. So everybody dreams of becoming a professional wrestler. If you're a fan of wrestling, obviously everyone kind of thinks about different things, what they would do, what they would look like, and we're going to get what Dylan would look like if he was a wrestler. So we have a few different areas here that Dylan, we're going to ask Dylan how he would go about becoming a wrestler and what his character and stuff would look like for that. So the first thing we're going to figure out with Dylan's wrestler is, Dylan, would you be a heel or a face?
So I like to consider myself somewhat a bit of ambidextrous when it comes to the heel face thing. I think I'd be able to deliver on both sides. But I think I would I think in this situation, I'm thinking a guy, a baby face, but not a white meat baby face. A guy who has more of a Darby Allin type of baby face. You know what I mean? A guy that maybe and I say that because I just mean less white meat, more fan he's all about the crowd. He's obsessed with wrestling and dedicates himself to this craft and just being the best. Similar to I think Gunther at times when he is needed to be in a more babyface role. That's kind of a situation that he goes to where he's in certain situations. Not that he's done it very often, but I that's kind of the situation I'm going. So I'm going for more of I think I'm going baby face, but less of a white meat baby face and more of a sticks to himself, does his thing, and follows his character and his morals, and won't even if it's another good guy that's trying to make him go against his morals, he's not going to go against his morals. So.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about style of wrestling. Dylan, you're going to be a high flyer, ground and pound, submission specialist. What would you kind of do? And you can kind of name a wrestler whose like style you would also kind of want to be like as well.
Yeah. So I would say I'd like to be a hard-hitting technician. That's kind of the situation I'm feeling. So I'd like to do I'd like to get very technical. A lot of you know what I mean. I'd like to get into the chain stuff and whatnot. But at the same time, I can be pretty hard hitting when it comes to the lariats and the clotheslines. So I'm thinking someone similar to Sami Zayn.
Okay.
Very technical, but he's not quite like a high flyer, not quite. But he's no slouch when it comes to being able to carry his own in situations like the haluva kick or delivering a blue thunder bomb and things like that. So Really like Sami Zayn.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Sammy's great because he's kind of like a good hybrid of a couple different kind of styles of
Yeah.
wrestling. So let's move on to the most important part of a wrestler, your attire. What kind of ring gear are you wearing, Dylan?
Yeah, right. So I'm going early to mid 2000s AJ Styles vibe. I'm going biker shorts.
Of course.
Biker shorts, knee pads and kick pads. You need that continuity. That almost makes it look like a boot. You know what I mean? With the knee pad and kick pads. But that early AJ Styles look with the biker shorts, knee pads, kick pads, I think, and I'm even gonna copy AJ all the way. I think I'd go like a nice like jacket vest thing, even. Maybe even if it was like maybe a sleeveless kind of trench vest sort of thing with a hood. That would be my one difference from AJ, is that I would have it go all the way down to the ground. So
like Drew's.
Yes, but mine would have a hood. Oh, does Drew's have a hood?
I thought his had a hood.
Yes, but I'm thinking less like leather and more like that AJ style, like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
So yeah, I think that's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
All right, I can get behind that. So, let's talk gimmicks, Dylan. What do you have a specific gimmick that you would kind of do? Obviously, we have in the Burning Hammer's past, we've made a few different videos with some various different gimmicks for wrestlers cutting promos. So, what would your gimmick be, Dylan?
Yeah, so I think my gimmick would be. I put some thought into this one, and there's a few different nicknames that I could go with. But I think I am going to go with, like I said, it's not a super babyface type of gimmick, which I think helps along with the fact that I want to be more of a babyface, but I'm not a straight up white meat babyface, so I think this gimmick helps with that. And it's one I've said before, and it's one I've used back in my days in the backyard days. That's picture perfect. I'm going with, not 100% sure what the name would be, but the gimmick and the nickname is picture perfect. What I focus on is the art and the beautifulness of wrestling. I want to deliver every move with the utmost precision, and I want my matches to be picture perfect. And I think you could go, you can sway more heel, like I said, if you want, and you can talk about how, and I can talk about how I'm picture perfect. Everything I do is picture perfect, and it's in frame. But then you can also go more to the baby face and say, I've dedicated my life to making myself a picture perfect ring technician, because this is what I care about the most, and this is what I love. I strive for perfection every single time I step into that ring, because it's the only thing that is on my mind. You know what I mean? So I think you could go a little more babyface if you go down that route. So picture perfect is the gimmick I'm going to rock with. Back in my old backyard days, used it a bit.
Yeah. So, again, I think that's a great one. So, let's get into some fun stuff here. What would your signature move be?
Signature move, and it's a bit of a cop-out, I guess, since I said this is the style I'm going to replicate, but God, I love them so much. I love the signature move. I'm going with the Blue Thunder Bomb, Mark. The spinning 360 Blue Thunder Bomb. Such a good move, and that would be my signature move, Mark.
Yeah, Blue Thunder Bomb. Again, it's one that doesn't get used too often, so it's not oversaturated, and it's one that's just so sick. Like, you hit it, and it's one that you always get a reaction from the crowd, or if you're watching, like, you will verbally react to a Blue Thunder Bomb every single time. So, we talked about signature move. Let's talk about finishing move, Dylan. What's your finisher going to be?
All right, so I was thinking about this a lot, and it might sound like, I don't know. You guys, you tell me what you think. So I think the one thing I was trying to switch it up a little bit. I think there's a lot of easy things to go with here. Like you can easily go with some sort of the slam off of the shoulders. You can easily go with you know what I mean, some sort of splash or power bomb, or there's a lot of cop outs, or a stunner would have been an easy cop out. But to me, I really wanted to think of a really fascinating strike, and I know you're a really big fan of a hard strike as a finisher. So I think how I would like to set this up, right? So I would set it up by hitting a cliffhanger DDT. So you know what I mean? Center the ring, have him here, lift him up a little bit, that little halfway, hardly round waist level, down. So when I hit that cliffhanger DDT, that's when they hit that and they kind of pop back up to their knees, and they're kind of like hanging there on their knees like that, and kind of slash down even. And then this is when they're center ring. So, and then while they're facing forward, I'm going to hit the rope from the side. So like that, I'm coming at their face like this. And then it's going to be similar to the Drew McIntyre Claymore kick, except they're already going to be on their knees face down. So it would be kind of like that last second run straight through. I was really debating between that or a knee. I think a knee would be really interesting as well. And it's really kind of hard for me to choose between the two. So I think, honestly, yeah, I don't know if I can truly choose between the running like knee strike or the running kind of Claymore type kick when they're already on their knees. But I really wanted to put a lot of thought into, you know, I want you to be able to visualize how this is going to happen. So, you know what I mean? Kind of think of that. Whenever, when I set them up center of the ring, they're like, oh my God, it's coming. Cliffhanger DDT. You know what's next. Picture perfect. Here he comes off the ropes. Snapshot. That's what it would be called. Snapshot.
Okay, he's got a name.
Yeah.
Snapshot. All right.
And
I like it.
Yeah. He's out cold. So honestly,
all right. So
whatever you think would look better, the knee or the kick. I'll let the viewers just. Yeah, I think the kick as well. So let's go.
Yeah,
snapshot.
You guys, let us know in the comments, what would your finishing move be if you were a professional wrestler? And if you are a wrestler, let us know what your finishing move is. We would love to do that, because I love talking about signature moves and finisher moves. So I think there's obviously a ton of different options that you can go out there. But that was Dylan's wrestler, so who knows? Maybe one day we could get Dylan picture perfect in the ring in some sort of fashion. So
you never know.
Who knows if that'll happen? But let's pivot back, because now we are on the horizon of War Games, Dylan, and we've talked about it for a while. We're still Bloodline versus Bloodline, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course. So, is there any question about final member? Is it Sammy?
It's Sammy, man. Unless they're gonna do, I really don't see them doing any sort of swerve. It feels unnecessary at this point. Not to be like that, but like Sammy is more involved in this story than any other member of any other member of the Batu family would be. Just story wise, like he's been in the thing the whole time. And then, like we said, I think this probably leads to an eventual Sammy and Kevin feud that probably takes to Mania, because of we saw what made Kevin turn here was seeing people work with the Bloodline again. So it really feels like this is the direction that we're headed. Is Solo's new Bloodline Solo, Jacob Fatu, and the Tongans taking on the OG Bloodline, Roman, the Usos, and the honorary Sami Zayn. And that's kind of where we're going to settle at over these next few weeks leading up to War Games. And that's the match we're going to get going into it. My question now, I think everything's set up and there's only one question that remains leading up. And that is The Rock going to show up at War Games?
You know, I think they really dropped the ball with having him not show up at Crown Jewel. It felt like a great moment for him to come back. I think he's got to be at War Games.
So I think this is probably how we end the pod. This is like the last little segment, but how does The Rock come back? Like, how does this happen? Is it a situation where it's like during the match, his music hits? Is it after the match? What do you think? Last Friday before?
I don't think it's going to be before, like on the Friday Night SmackDown. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen at the actual show.
Agreed.
I feel like it's post-match. Or
so
I
who
don't
do you
know,
think?
'cause, like, I feel like it'd be weird if, like, because I think soft prediction here. Feels like Team Roman's got to get the win.
Agreed.
This feels like the time. Soft prediction. So it's tough to predict how post-match that would kind of happen. But then the other thing is like, if you have Roman get involved in the match, then it's going to be or if you get Rock involved, how do you have Roman's team still lose if The Rock gets involved?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you have Roman's team win if The Rock gets involved in the match? So that's where I'm like, I don't know how they're going to go about it, but I'm leaning more towards The Rock gets involved in the match and you kind of let the dominoes fall. Maybe Cody comes out to take out The Rock during that to kind of neutralize him. But if I'm putting my money on it, I would say The Rock is not officially in the match, but I think he comes out during it to take someone out. I also could see. Let me ask you this, and then you can get into what The Rock is going to do. Is there any chance that Kevin Owens takes Sami Zayn out of the picture and he's not in War Games because of Kevin Owens?
No, I think that's later on. I think we're going to get KO, because KO and Randy didn't even get an official match. So it seems like that's going to be what we're doing at War Games.
Okay. So what do you think? When do you think The Rock, how's he getting involved? Is he getting involved?
Yeah, I think the most likely situation is that Roman wins, like Roman's new bloodline wins, and like right before they all hit the ones or whatever, Rock's music hits, and he does another just stare down from the top of the ramp and leaves. I honestly think that's probably
Loves those.
the most likely. Or it's a situation where Solo's kind of like, who do you think gave me the Ulafala or something? Like, and then Rock's music hits. Whether that's at the very last second or...
I could also see them doing post-match. I guess Solo would have to win, but this would be like if Rock costs Roman's team the match, Rock comes down or goes into the ring, and then like Rock and Solo and everyone kind of throws up the ones, and it's kind of like them are staring down the battered Roman's bloodline. So that's something else I could see happening. It's tough, which obviously will give our hard predictions in a couple of weeks, but it's gonna
that's my thing. Is like I think the
here.
most likely situation would be like, yeah, dude, I really don't know. I gotta put some more thought into it. I think
definitely
we're
gonna have to take a few weeks to think.
I think where we go from here is Roman versus Solo straight up for a
the
title.
Ulafala.
Yeah, for the Ulafala, and then that's like after we get that, that's when we move into Roman Rock, or we go straight into Roman Rock from here. Because a 6-month build isn't that crazy.
Yeah, because I think like it's again, obviously it's leading to some sort of match of Roman versus Rock. Which, if you want to hear how we think it's going down, obviously you can listen to our Mania predictions. But I feel like Roman gets to Ulafala back at some point. That feels like is what's next. Following this, and then kind of post that into the Raw on Netflix. I think Bloodline stuff kind of gets moved to Netflix, and then that's where you kind of are starting to build for the match at WrestleMania, whatever that may be. But it's going to be. I'm surprised that they didn't get. Maybe Jacob Fatu kind of gets more involved with Roman in like singles action. I'm surprised they haven't gone that direction yet, because obviously WWE loves Jacob Fatu, and so does every single wrestler currently. So obviously Fatu is a massive star. So I am surprised that they haven't had a match with like him versus Roman at some point yet. But I think that it's. That could be something we also get to following this. But you guys let us know in the comments kind of what you think is going to happen at War Games. Is Sammy going to be involved? Is he not going to be involved? Let us know in the comments wherever you're watching or listening to this. So be on the lookout for our War Games predictions. That's going to be out in the next couple of weeks. And it's going to be interesting to see how all of this stuff unfolds. So with that being said, I'm Mark Izzo. He's Dylan O'Brien, and this has been another episode of the Birding Hammer Podcast. We'll catch you next week.